the heart of the Caribbean Sea, near the Dutch island of Saba, lies one of the most complex and delicate marine ecosystems, called the Saba Bank. This underwater paradise is a perfect example of the complexity of life, where every element is interconnected. In this knowledge clip, we will explore this magnificent reef, because when the sun rises above the horizon, all life beneath the surface wakes to start a new day, and one individual in particular.
Hi, I'm Bob, 15 years already, and about 350 pounds. Although I'm a bit self-conscious about that. Oh, what more to tell? It's very colorful out here. Lots of stuff to do, but I mostly rest. Those are my brothers. Haven't seen them in a while though. I live solitary now. I used to be with more. That's Sam, killed by fishers. And there was Chris, scared away by tourists. Oh, that's Jerry. He's on vacation because he didn't want to be in this video. So, mostly me for now, but I'm still looking for someone. So let me know if you are the one.
No, Bob, this isn't a dating show. We're trying to show the people why this case is important.
Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad.
Since you showed us the reef, can you tell us some more about it?
So, the reef, where do I begin?
Why not try and start at the beginning?
Oh, right, yeah, well, I came from an egg.
Okay, maybe not that beginning.
Sorry. So, the reef was the most beautiful place you could ever imagine. Full of life. Colors you cannot even imagine. Had a great time hanging out in different types of coral. As did all other life you see.
Seems like you have the perfect life right here.
Well, actually, we have a little problem lately. Corals are kind of disappearing. We are threatened by overfishing, you know. Big problem for our juveniles. We used to be everywhere. Wise people wanted to help us with seasonal closure to protect our spawning grounds.
That's great, so that helped?
Well, no, it doesn't help at all.
Hi, we are the Grouper Groupies. Are you ready to dive into a world where passion for marine life meets a heartfelt commitment to the protection of the vibrant grouper fish? The Grouper Groupies are a passionate community of individuals who recognize the importance of the grouper within the complex systems of our oceans. These colorful and charismatic fish have won our hearts with their vibrant personalities, distinctive grunts.
To understand the socio-ecological systems in the Saba Bank, we invited an expert on the subject.
Now it's time for us to return the favor by advocating for their well-being.
There are a lot of social institutions. One of those local institutions is Gulf and Caribbean Fisheries Institute. They ensure that fishers are engaged and empowered to contribute to the wise management of the region's marine resources. The Netherlands Ministry of Agriculture, Nature and Food Safety wants to ensure good prospects for the Dutch farming, horticulture and fishing sectors, which are renowned worldwide for producing good quality food that is safe and affordable. The ministry is working with all stakeholders to restore and maintain natural areas. The Saba Island government has closed a critical red hen spawning area to fishing during the months of December to February in order to protect this important aggregation. But is this enough? Then we have the ecological systems with coral reefs, about coastal protection, food production and recreation. But we also have deep water mountains. Maybe you think that there are also mangroves on Saba, but they actually aren't. The knowledge of the Saba Bank groupers came from organizations like the Saba Conservation Foundation and the Dutch Caribbean Nature Alliance. Their mission is to commit to preservation and enhancement of the marine and terrestrial environment on Saba through education, scientific research, monitoring and enforcement. they try to educate people on the importance of the Saba bank. Consumption of groupers is also part of the culture of people there. That's why local fishers catch lots of groupers. The prices of the groupers are also pretty cheap in comparison to the prices of imported seafood, which makes it easier for people to choose for groupers instead of other fish. There are a lot of culture and also culture-economic diet preferences which form the values for the Saba bank groupers. Technologies used for catching groupers are fishing nets, and practices are local fisheries like the Saba Fishermen Association who catch groupers. Saba bank, as described in the text, is a complex marine ecosystem and its health is critical to its functioning. The health of the coral reefs, an important part of the Saba bank, is a crucial factor for the grouper population. Coral reefs provide not only a spectacular underwater landscape, but also essential habitat for a multitude of species, including the groupers. Groupers rely on coral for food, nurseries, and breeding grounds. Unfortunately, looking at an ecological view, due to disease, hurricanes, and bleaching caused by pollution, the coral reefs are disrupted. This affects the productivity of the grouper populations, which explains that the size of the grouper population decreases and there will be less reproduction and surviving juveniles. In recent years, coral reefs have suffered a dramatic decline around the world. About 20% may already have been degraded beyond recovery, according to the Saba Conservation Foundation. Organizations, NGOs, institutions, governments play an important role in solving the decrease of grouper populations because it requires balancing local culture traditions with the reality of today's environmental conditions. Also, the disruption of seagrass meadows can influence size of groupers' population because seagrass provides refugia for young fish, improves water quality, acts as a nursery and breeding grounds, stimulates algae, bacteria, plankton growth, and provides food for organisms. Lastly, disrupted coral reefs cannot fulfill their vital role as natural barriers against the relentless erosion of coastlines. They are a critical defense for the islands and communities that rely on them for protection.
Thanks for explaining that for me, Matilda. I'm also curious about what the other people are doing to our system and why it is impacted.
I can explain that for you, Bob. Direct drivers are fishing and tourism. Fishing affects the stock sizes of the grouper as well as other fish species populations, because groupers are born as female and change sex later in life. However, because the larger males are fished out first, an imbalance is created, which impacts reproduction as well. On top of that, fishermen, as well as tourists, can disturb aggregation and reproduction of the grouper and directly affect the fish stock again. One of the most important indirect drivers is, of course, demand. If there are people who want to eat groupers, they are going to be fished, but if the demand stops, the fishing would follow. This way, it can both sustain and transform the ecosystem around groupers. The demand is impacted by demographic changes and tourism on the island. The tourism on Saba has had a pretty big blow due to the pandemic. The population has been going up and down, but has increased relative to 2011. Technology and hurricanes can also be important drivers. Hurricanes can be both direct and indirect drivers. Direct if the hurricane breaks off the corals, but indirect if the storm causes turbidity and thus lowers the rates of photosynthesis.
If I listen correctly, I want to go back to demand. Just don't eat us.
Well, there are a couple things that can be done. Those include narrow and deep leverage points. But to be fair, we protected your aggregation sites, the Moonfish Bank, for a couple of months a year when you aggregate, and you are still dying. Corals. An example which we already use are the coral trees. Furthermore, we could try to increase herbivore populations. However, these are all very shallow leverage points. If we truly want to protect the reef and your family, we have to change the viewpoints of the people, educate them and make them aware of your struggles and the current state of your home in the ocean. Another solution is to update fishing laws to protect groupers from being overfished, preventing their populations from crashing. Going even deeper, the bigger issue is climate change. To tackle this, we have to create and use new technologies, focus on clean energy, and change the way people think about things. It's essential to reduce carbon emissions to zero or below zero, and preferably change the entire economic system. By making these changes together, we can work towards fixing the problems and creating a better, more sustainable future.